welcome back to Movie in a Blender and another impromptu review. See, I originally had Wolf of Wall Street scheduled to review this week, but they moved the release date. I got nothing. So I have my esteemed colleague here who is, I wouldn't want to say comic book nerd, but...
I've read a couple comic books.
Yeah, I think he knows what comic books are.
Yeah, I'm like, those are the ones with like the spandex in them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm aware.
The graphic novels.
Okay. Yeah.
So while I've got him here, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna review Marvel.
Yeah.
The whole Marvel franchise.
Yeah.
Starting now. Okay, so we should start off that we both just saw Thor 2 recently.
Yeah, Thor the Dark World.
Thor the Dark World.
Yeah.
Which brings up one of my points. How do you feel about the Marvel naming gimmicks? So
Yeah.
like first you have Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
But then you have Thor the Dark World, Avengers, maybe Avengers Rise of Ultron.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, I was saying earlier, like I feel like with Iron Man, they were going, because Iron Man 2 still came out before all of the other Marvel movies. There's Iron Man 2, and then the rest of them. But I like that they're doing the subtitles with the movies because if they try to keep some sort of like sequential thing where it's like, okay, Captain America 1, Captain America 2, Thor 2, people still aren't going to know what order things go in within the whole arc of the movies, because it's Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World. Like, it's like there's no order whatsoever anyway, so you might as well drop the numbers and give them cool sounding titles.
Yeah, I think one of the downsides of the numbers is like if you don't do things sequentially, that means you can also do stuff like non-literally.
Yeah.
So you could have the next Thor movie could actually be like a prequel.
Yeah, totally.
And you know, it would just be like another like thing. Like it wouldn't be Thor 3. It's Thor finding the hammer.
Asgard Rising.
Asgard Rising. Yeah. So you know. And that's pretty interesting.
That's a good point. Like, it frees them up from the trilogy sickness that is sort of plaguing everything, where it's like you do 3 movies and
in sequential order.
In sequential order, where it's like they can go wherever they want. Like they've got some pretty good momentum going right now through the universe, but like they're just getting so crazy with stuff that it's like, if they, like, seriously, if they wanted to go back and do some, or I would love to see a movie that was Captain America during his escapades during World War II.
Yep.
Because I mean, that's a montage in the first Avenger. It'd be really cool to get a whole Captain America World War II movie. I think that would be awesome.
And so, well, here's another thing that, the reason I was thinking of reviewing the entire Marvel franchise is because I feel like Marvel has done something kind of revolutionary. The idea of different movies that share the same continuity, and even crossing the characters over, like that's only been in TV shows. I don't think that's ever been fully developed in movies.
Yeah.
Like, it might have happened once or twice. Flash Gordon fights Dracula zombies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think there's ever been like really concentrated like that. Which I think is actually something really, really impressive, especially how it's now kind of spilled out into other media. Now you have, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on TV, and we're about to have more superhero shows on Netflix.
Yeah, Daredevil and Luke Cage and a couple others.
So, I mean, it's just, instead of like going to one spot for your superhero continuity, it just surrounds you.
It's like the visual medium of Marvel is like the comics, where it's just like there's so much going on, but it's all set within the same universe. And it's cool that you mentioned that they got this whole universe going on, because they actually established, I missed this, but in Thor the Dark World, apparently when Eric Selvig, the crazy Scandinavian guy that had Loki in his brain.
He's naked. He's the one who's naked.
When he's explaining how the universe, how the different dimensions and universes work on the blackboard, there's a little thing like blink and you'll miss it thing that says Earth 616, which Earth 616 is the Marvel of the comics, meaning that the Marvel of the comics is connected to Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're in separate Marvel universes.
Yeah. So now they've even established where the movies are in comic book form.
In comic book form, which is like really cool. I love that they're doing that.
So here's another thing. As a comic book fan, you're a huge fan of Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you're a fan of Marvel and DC, but Marvel more?
I like Marvel's storylines more.
Mm-hmm.
I like DC. There are individual characters within DC that I prefer.
Right.
Like Batman and stuff like that. But
sure.
I mean, Batman's just awesome. Yeah, I love Marvel. Yeah.
Okay, so as a fan of the comic books, do you feel that the movies are kind of doing that the movies are doing the comic books justice, and that the changes the movies make, because some of the movies like follow like issues of comic books, like series of the comic books, and which I think is great because I mean, bam, here's your storyboard. Yeah. It's laid out just like a storyboard, just the way you want it. But then they have to change some stuff to make it more than just an adaptation of the comic book.
Yeah.
So, are those changes something that you're like, yeah, or like, oh, I wish they didn't change that, or...
Yeah, I for the most part, the changes that they've made are good.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like, though, that they're not afraid for things to be really comic booky, which is something that DC has constantly shied away from.
Yep.
And especially with, like, the Nolan movie. Like, I love the Batman Nolan movies, but they're just so different from the comics. They're so grounded in reality that I miss out on a lot of this sort of absurd gadgetry and cool sort of supernatural stuff that happens in the Batman comics. And then with the recent Man of Steel, it's like they spend so much time trying to explain his powers scientifically and stuff. So I feel like Marvel is just like, it's like, oh, here's a super soldier serum. It's kind of a mixture of like gamma radiation like the Hulk has and some other stuff. Here you go. And it's like, oh, cool, you're a super soldier. We don't need to explain what's going on, and you can get super crazy with stuff. I mean, I think the greatest testament to the Marvel movies is the fact that they made Thor work how he's supposed to work.
That's true.
Like, he's a god, and he lives in a culture of what we would consider to be gods, and they somehow, you don't question it when Thor shows up and he's hammering on Captain America, who was just fighting in World War II. You're just like, yeah, like, so the changes they've made haven't been to ground any sort of reality into the movies or anything like that. The changes they made are just to make things connect a little bit better, flow a little bit better, and stuff like that. So I do like the changes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. So one problem I'm seeing with continued continuity in movies is with comic books, you can always draw Captain America the same way.
Yeah.
You can always draw Thor the same way.
Yeah.
Depending on various artists, but usually they're always going to look the same.
Yeah.
Actors, on the other hand, tend to age, tend to quit.
Yeah.
Tend to, in Heath Ledger's case, die unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So, is that going to be a problem whenever you have all this huge continuity backed up, and then Robert Downey Jr. says, I'm not doing Iron Man anymore? I mean,
technically, the Incredible Hulk is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's true.
So, and he was played by Ed Norton in that movie. And in the Avengers, he's played by Mark Ruffalo, which I actually prefer Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner.
It's not bad.
And so they have already had a little bit of a switch, but at the same time, not very many people even remember that Incredible Hulk is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, for instance, Robert Downey Jr., he's not going to be Iron Man forever, and he's expressed in interviews a lot that he's just like, I don't want to be Iron Man forever. I think he signed on for 2 more Avengers movies, but technically not any more Iron Man movies.
Right.
If he goes, I can't really see anyone else playing Iron Man within the universe, and I hope that they don't, just because, I don't know, it would just be weird to have somebody else play Iron Man.
It's true. The counter to that would be the fact that since they're superheroes, a lot of them are wearing costumes.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, you could have somebody who does a pretty good Robert Downey Jr. impression, and just have Iron Man never take off the suit.
Yeah.
I mean, it only works really for Iron Man and maybe Captain America.
And if Iron Man just have like a cameo or something. Like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't have him in there very long.
Yeah.
But like Spider-Man, you could constantly switching out Spider-Man and never even know.
Yeah.
But so one thing I've kind of been thinking about is I like Marvel, more specifically I like X-Men.
Yeah.
And in the X-Men I really like Charles Xavier, aka Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pat.
And if you're watching.
Yeah, and I also like Magneto.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that Magneto is Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
But so is Gandalf.
Right.
So like Ian McKellen is just like wedged himself between two roles.
Yeah.
That you never get away from.
Never get away from. Yeah.
But I mean, I was really into X-Men. Still really am into X-Men. X-Men. See, like, there's the Marvel Universe, and then there's, like, X-Men. X-Men is just as complicated.
Yeah.
Like, X-Men could just take up the entire Marvel Universe.
X-Men has its own pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I know a lot about the X-Men, not a lot about the Avengers or Guardians of the Universe or anything lower than that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I know quite a bit about Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
Mostly from their comics, or not their comics, but their cartoon shows when I was a kid. And when I still watch cartoons. But I know them from the cartoons. I know a lot about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Know a little bit about the Flash and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what's really interesting is DC has some really interesting, like, memorable villains.
Yeah.
Like, you have, let's go with villain. You have, Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
You have Heath Ledger and his awesome performance with the Joker. Like setting the bar for other Jokers to come.
Yeah.
You have Tom Hardy as Bane.
Yes.
Everybody. Anne Hathaway as Catwoman.
Yeah.
But if you look on the Marvel side of super villains, all I can really think of is Loki. I can think of Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull, but that's just because I'm a huge Hugo Weaving fan.
Exactly, yeah.
Everybody else is just like, oh yeah, he's the guy with the red face.
Like, I actually have to think about the villains in the Marvel. Like, I have to go, oh, right, it was Mickey Rourke as Whiplash in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
I have to think about it for a second.
Yeah, it was Jeff Bridges as the bad guy.
As Obadiah Stane, yeah.
But it's just like, and the thing about the villains, something that happens in movies that doesn't happen in comic books is in movies you have to have that resolution.
Yeah.
Bane has to die.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul has to die.
Right.
Joker didn't have to die, but who knows? What was going on there.
Yeah.
On the counter to that, Marvel, I guess they've kind of killed off all their villains, but the one that comes to mind, who is still alive and has been persistent, is Loki.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Loki. Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston. Yeah.
Everybody freaking loves that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
Loki has been the villain in 3 movies.
3 movies, yeah.
One movie that wasn't even his.
Yeah, exactly.
One movie where he was guest starring as the villain.
Yep.
Of course, I'm referring to the Avengers.
Yeah.
So you had Loki as the planetary villain, like the villain of villains.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that DC, good villains, Marvel, good heroes.
Yeah.
I really like the actors who were playing, like, I love the guy who's playing Captain America.
Oh man, why can't I remember?
We're not gonna do it.
Man, I'm not gonna be able to remember it.
We're horrible fans.
Oh man, that sucks.
Please complain.
Oh shoot, I just had it. Anyway, him.
Yeah. The guy.
You'll look it up and you'll put it right here. It'll come up right
exactly.
Right now.
Sorry. So we have the guy who plays Captain America. We have Chris Hemsworth as an awesome Thor.
So good as Thor.
So good. Takes off his shirt.
There's ladies. That guy is ripped. Right? That guy definitely.
He's such Viking.
He's
got
such
the
a
perfect
Viking.
hair and beard.
Yeah.
Like if you put him in every Viking movie ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Chris Hemsworth.
Exactly.
You get Robert Downey Jr. as spot on as freaking Tony
He
Stark.
is Tony Stark. He
Yeah.
just is. Man, he's so good.
I mean, but you have Black Widow.
Yeah.
You have Hawkeye. Just really great characters that you get into. Like you can really feel their growth, their arcs. Same can't be said for Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman if it ever comes up.
Yeah, like if you think to we'll use the Nolan movies as another example. Like I don't really care about Batman in the Nolan movies. Like Christian Bale, he did a good job, but I don't love his interpretation of Batman. I feel like he's just kind of a little all over the place and very mopey and doesn't have too much of a personality. But the villains in the Nolan movies are so good. Even the auxiliary villains, even like Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is great.
But if I might stop you, Matt, the reason Batman's mopey is because his parents are dead.
My parents are dead. Yeah. Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, just it's for DC, it's everybody who's not the main focus.
Yeah.
Is great. Here's another thing I've kind of noticed. In the DC movies, you always have to have the hero saving somebody, saving the day.
Yeah.
In the Marvel movies, it's more like people help the hero save the day.
Right.
I mean, in Marvel movies, it's much more of a group effort. Even if it's just one hero, like even if it's just Iron Man, you gotta have Pepper Potts doing some stuff.
Yeah.
If it's Captain America, you gotta have Captain's team doing some stuff.
Right. Yeah.
If it's if it's Thor, you gotta have his 3 warriors or Natalie Portman doing some
or Darcy. She's so good, right? She's such a good character. I love Darcy. I hope she gets her own Marvel movie.
She could
or her own TV series.
They should just make her Black Canary, and her just talking could be the Screech, like blah 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 blah. Everything's starting to break. Anyway, but yeah, even in the Avengers movie, like you had Shield just doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they had to shoot the nuclear missile that kind of blew up the mothership.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really interesting that Marvel is more like everybody can help.
Yeah.
And DC is more like stand back, let me do this.
Well, that's because Marvel is like the heroes are like the vanguard, and humanity's behind them.
Right.
Whereas in DC, it's like outsiders, like Superman, Batman. They're both on their own, and they're always on their own.
I mean, it is true because Marvel does have Guardians of the Universe.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like though that it's kind of a issue where DC's constantly pushing this sort of outsider motif because like Superman. He's an outsider, but he's also supposed to be a beacon of hope for humanity. And I just feel like, especially in the Man of Steel, like they just miss that completely.
Yeah, nobody was like nobody says Superman, yay. They say Superman. Ooh.
Like Captain America in the Marvel movies is a better Superman than Superman is.
Because whenever Captain shows up, there's like, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Please tell us what to do.
Exactly.
Why should we listen to you?
And he's the weakest Avenger. And well, not the weakest, but he's like like he's not Iron Man or Thor or Hulk, but still people are just like, oh, thank God, Captain America's here. So
let's see what else. Okay, so Marvel movies or superhero movies coming up, and how the scale of excitement regarding them.
Yeah.
Let's go with the one that's going to come out soonest. Captain America Winter Soldier.
Captain America Winter Soldier. Okay, so I am super excited for this movie. I think it's probably going to be the best of the, what is this, Phase 2 now? Best of the Phase 2 films. The first one was Iron Man 3, and then Thor Dark World, and then Captain America Winter Soldier. Just the trailer, I love that they're continuing with the kind of man out of time theme going with Captain America, because I feel like we haven't addressed that yet. Because it's sort of like at the end of first Avenger, it's like, oh, I'm in the future, and then Avengers, they kind of hint at it, but not a lot. So.
There's actually supposed to be like if you look at the director's cut of the movie,
there's deleted scenes,
where it's more Captain America getting kind of culture shocked. Yeah,
so we'll see more of that in Winter Soldier, but also it's a combination of Captain America dealing with the fact that he's in the future, and also stuff from the past coming back to haunt him. mistakes of his past that are gonna have some ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Falcon is in it, and I'm super excited that Falcon is gonna be in it because like. What an obscure character to have in the movie, but it's gonna be so cool because he's got his mechanical wings, and oh man, I'm super stoked about it.
So Falcon is just a guy who can fly.
No, he can also communicate with birds.
Oh, well, why wouldn't you? I mean,
communicate with birds, and he has his mechanical wings. Super cool though.
All right, so I think what comes after that.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. How fun about that?
Oh man, I'm super excited about
Guardians of
the Galaxy.
So if somebody ever told you, okay, it's gonna be a live action movie with CGI characters, with cosmic powers, running rampant on Earth, but it's not a kids movie.
Yeah.
What would you think about that?
I would be at first I'd be like, that doesn't sound cool, and then you'd be like, well, just hold on. 2 of the characters are a talking raccoon and a tree, and I'd still be like, what? But the thing is like Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those things that just works for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
What they did, so the Guardians of the Galaxy that we're going to see in the movie is actually the second iteration of the team.
Oh.
The first iteration of the team was in the 80s and the early 90s, and I don't know a ton about them.
Right.
But the second iteration, they're the ones that has like Star-Lord, Drax the Destroyer, and Rocket Raccoon. Basically, a bunch of Marvel writers got together and they were like, what characters have we not used for like 15 years? And they're like, Drax the Destroyer? Okay, put him in there. Groot, put him in there. Rocket Raccoon, people love Rocket Raccoon. Fuck it, put him in there, you know? Just like everything in the team. And it just works. It just works. It's gonna be zany. It's gonna be perfect.
Yeah. It'll probably be the most we're making a film for fun movie ever.
Yeah, I love it.
Because there's gonna be like there's not gonna be any dark story. There's not gonna be any oppressing characters. Nobody's gonna win an award. We're not winning awards.
Yeah.
This is gonna be funny. Look at the raccoon.
Exactly.
All right. So what do we have after that?
After that, it's Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Avengers
2.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, and then after that, it's Ant-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, but we don't know anything about Ant-Man yet. But Age of Ultron it's not actually following the Age of Ultron comics, but Ultron's in it.
Right.
And Ultron is basically this super powerful, sentient AI robot that decides that he needs to enslave humanity.
He doesn't sound anything like Brainiac.
Nothing like Brainiac. What's interesting about Ultron, though, is that he is created by Hank Pym, Ant-Man.
Oh.
It has been reported that Hank Pym is not going to be in the Marvel Universe until Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Which, I have some theories about this.
Okay.
And if you watch the Comic-Con trailer, it's pretty obvious that Tony Stark is going to build Ultron. Because the trailer shows some guy hammering what looks like an Iron Man helmet, and then it turns and it's like, oh, it's Ultron! So...
that's pretty interesting, because if Robert Downey Jr. wants to get out, and Tony Stark is building Ultron, do you think Iron Man's going to die?
I think it would be awesome if Ultron killed Iron
Man. Because this is the sequel, you have to raise the stakes. Somebody's going to die.
Somebody has to die.
Somebody has to die.
Don't kill Black Widow or Hawkeye. Kill one of the main Avengers. Kill Iron Man.
Because it's why isn't Iron Man here anymore? Because he's dead.
Yeah.
And then you still have War Machine if you want
some robots.
You want some Don action, you can freaking War Machine.
Exactly. Put War Machine. Like he's in the West Coast Avengers. Let's put the West Coast Avengers in there. No. Here's the thing. It's a win-win-win-win for Marvel if they kill Iron Man.
Right.
Robert Downey Jr. makes so much money off of these movies, they have to pay him so much. So they would save a ton of money if Robert Downey Jr. just wasn't Iron Man anymore. Also, like you said, it just raises the stakes. Because it's like, okay...
Who are they going to kill next time?
How are they going to outdo Loki? Like, invading Earth with an army of aliens. How are they going to outdo the Dark Elf from Dark World threatening to destroy existence itself?
Yeah. You
kill an Avenger. I feel like they just have to do it. They have to.
Speaking of Thor: The Dark World, what a bland villain! Like
super bland.
They could have been so cool there, but they didn't.
Anyway, it's such a bummer because it's Christopher Eccleston, which I really like him.
Eccleston.
Eccleston?
Eccleston?
Ecclestein?
Eccleston?
Ecclestein?
Uh,
Eccleston?
this guy? Okay.
Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
Who is a really good actor.
Yep.
And you can't even tell it's him because he has 12 pounds of prosthetics on his face and his voice is all filtered.
His voice is filtered with makeup, and he speaks a different language.
So like if someone told you, hey, that's Christopher Eccleston, you'd be like, cool.
Do you think that might be a problem? Is that maybe whenever Marvel gets so comfortable in the conscious of the populace,
Yeah.
like cast nobodies.
Yeah.
Like the superheroes should be like actors you've never seen before.
Yeah.
So that you can just string them along for as long as possible because they don't have other careers. It's
Yeah.
like, this is my first movie series.
I don't know, because I feel like they've drawn so much. Well, okay, I'm gonna get a little.
Oh.
Okay, so getting women to the theater to watch,
Oh.
and this I'm speaking so generally. Obviously, there are
Yeah.
women that just want to see superhero movies,
Mm-hmm.
but casting good-looking, fit men as superheroes.
You can have a good-looking, fit man who doesn't have a name behind him.
Yeah, I suppose, but like when women hear like Chris Hemsworth, the guy who plays Captain America, his first name is Chris. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's also Chris.
All Chris's.
All Chris's all the time. Robert Downey Jr. Jeremy Renner, I guess. Mark Ruffalo, he's such a hottie. But anyway, the star power. There is something to say about star power.
Do you think that's why Skarsgård was naked?
Oh,
Skarsgård
yeah.
Skarsgård was naked
yeah,
in Thor 2.
Yeah,
It's like for the ladies.
For the ladies, he's gonna run around nude at Stonehenge. Don't miss this scene. Yeah.
But going back on topic, hopefully everybody has seen Thor 2 and the stinger.
Yeah.
It's the first stinger, because there's two of them.
Yeah.
But the first stinger at the end of Thor 2, where they introduce somebody who I believe they only refer to as the Collector.
The Collector, yeah.
What do you know about the Collector? What's your theories?
The only thing I know about the Collector is that he's one of these things called the Elders, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Which the Elders at one point in the comics tried to kill Galactus and restart the universe,
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work. But I think the biggest revelation in this stinger was the fact that the Infinity Gems already exist within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and actually we know of 2 of them already.
Yes, and not just that we know of 2 of them, but other people know of 2 of them.
Yeah, so we find out that the Tesseract from Captain America and Avengers is the first Infinity Gem, and this thing called the Ether from Thor: The Dark World is the second Infinity Gem.
Infinity Stone.
Infinity
You don't
Stone.
know shit.
Hey, they're called gems.
You can call gemstones.
Yeah, there's 2 of them, and there's 6 total. Mm-hmm. So they have 2 of them so far, and the Collector says something like 1 down, 5 to go.
Yeah. So we've established infinity objects.
Yes.
Of which there is 5.
6.
Of which there is 6.
Yeah.
And in the Avengers stinger, we also saw. Was that Hellboy?
Was that Hellboy? Thanos.
Thanos.
Yes. Who famously wields all 6 Infinity Gems on a gauntlet and kills half the universe. So he kills half of the people in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited.
Yes. So I mean, just like a lot of good lead up that you would only kind of get if you were a fan.
Yeah.
But it's also like curious enough to make people who aren't fans look it up.
That's the thing, is that people who saw the Avengers and they see this big chin purple guy go, yeah, and they're like, who the hell's that?
Yeah.
And they look it up and it's like, oh, it's this guy called Thanos, the Mad Titan. He's this big villain in the Marvel Universe and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they start learning about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing with the Collector and the Infinity Gems.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, everybody hates whenever movies have cliffhanger endings.
Yeah.
Because then you never feel any resolution. However, whenever there's tons of material that you can just look up for the hell of it,
yeah,
I think the cliffhanger is not as bad. Because, if you don't know anything about comic books, you can Google that shit.
Yeah.
Like that. Just purple guy at the end of Avengers. Bam, Thanos.
Bam,
everything,
Thanos.
Everything you need to know about him.
Got it. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk really briefly about, because you mentioned how Marvel needs better villains, or they need more memorable villains other than Loki. I feel like we've got some potential with both Ultron and Thanos, because Ultron he's an insane robot, and there's just a lot of sort of like daddy issues with Ultron, where it's like, my creator, I want to kill my creator. And Ultron is also reoccurring because he's kind of like Brainiac. Even if you destroy the body, he still exists somewhere. Because he just needs one piece of himself.
How do you completely destroy a machine?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I feel like he's got a lot of potential for being a very interesting, very compelling villain, who also has some redeeming qualities, because Ultron is capable of doing a lot of good as well. And then the other thing is Thanos. Thanos is in love with death. He wants to appease death.
The physical embodiment of death. Death is a person.
It's a person, yeah.
You can talk to, and he is trying to court.
Yes, he is trying. He basically, Thanos is a teenage boy, and he's going to every length to try and date this girl that he wants to date.
He's tried everything except for staying outside her lawn with the boombox.
Yeah.
You're on.
So instead of doing that, he's going to collect all the Infinity Gems and kill half the people in the universe, and then
you have to love me then.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So but Thanos is a very interesting villain as well. There's actually a very good comic book series called Thanos Rising about what he was doing between when he lost the Infinity Gauntlet and when he became part of the Infinity Watch. Very good series, so I would suggest checking it out for sure.
I believe the Broadway show is going to be out soon. They'll play it right next to Weekend.
Thanos. It won't be a disaster like Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark at all.
Yeah, I feel like I do feel like if you compare and contrast the way that who holds DC's rights, Fox.
I don't even know who. Well, I think it's. I don't know.
Anyway, if you compare and contrast how the people in charge of DC Comics have gone with their movies compared to the way Marvel's gone, because Marvel, I can't remember, except for Spider-Man, they don't really reboot. Like, they just keep going.
Yeah, and they're technically going to reboot Fantastic Four like in a couple years, but that's not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just Marvel's going forward. But
they're just going full bore. They're not effing around.
Which I think is really screwing up DC, because DC is like, well, all right, like, do you like this? Like, do you like Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Here's a
Never
new
mind.
one.
Yeah, exactly. They're just churning through it. It's just like they keep trying and they're just failing at everything.
Because, whenever they reboot the Batman series, which they're going to...
They're about to with Batman and Superman.
So guess who the fucking first bad guy's going to be? It's going to be the Joker.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, oh, look, it's the Joker again.
It's the Joker again. Yeah, it's just... It is a bummer, because I really, really love DC, and I really love Batman and Flash and all those guys, and I really wish that...
Wonder Woman!
Man, a Wonder Woman would be so good if they did it correctly.
Well, especially, all right, here's how you make a Wonder Woman movie. Copy and paste out Thor, put in Wonder Woman,
yes, exactly.
Change Asgard to Greece.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got it. You got it. I just wish DC would get their stuff together, and they're trying to create another coherent universe like Marvel has going on. And I don't have faith in them.
Do you think that the reason that that DC can't really get their comic book mojo working is because they don't connect with comic book fans the way that Marvel has? And I cite my speculation. Joss Whedon did the Avengers.
Yes, he did.
Joss Whedon, who is
a huge comic book fan.
Huge comic book fan.
He writes comic books.
Loves comic books, writes comic books, and people know him for getting it.
Yeah.
He gets wacky action.
Yes.
So, the fact that they, like, Josh Whedon step up to like enlighten us.
Yeah.
How should we do the Avengers?
Plus, he's just in charge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yeah.
now. Like, he's the Godfather.
Yeah, if you think of it the other way, is like Christopher Nolan did the Batmans. Does he even know anything about Batman?
I mean, he probably knows a little bit.
He probably knew enough.
Yeah, that is the thing. Is I also feel like another big thing with DC is like so Marvel is not afraid to have different tones in all of its movies. Like you've got Captain America, it's like it's daring action and adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Thor, which is like, I think you described it really well. It's like Flash Gordon type stuff. Where
yeah,
it's just
pretty
like
much
swords and science and magic and stuff. And then you've got Iron Man, which is like just like balls to the wall action and funny quips from Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
But in the DC universe, they're just like, hey, you know who's not dark and gritty? Superman. Let's make him dark and gritty. It's like, why can't you have Superman be Superman and have Batman be Batman? Why you gotta mix it up and have everything be so dark and gritty all the time?
But Superman's suit is made of a whole bunch of little S's.
It's not an S.
It's
not an S.
That's what comic book fans, right?
It's the symbol for hope.
Well, on my pen it's an S.
all right.
So yeah, it's just basically I think Marvel is doing good, and I hope it keeps doing good.
Yeah.
And I hope that it doesn't turn into more Fantastic Four.
Yes, agreed.
Or Hellrider.
Yeah, Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, no more Ghost Rider.
He was in Hell.
He was.
But yeah, because it is funny how progressive they've gotten. Because you had Ghost Rider and Fantastic Four, which was just campy schlock. Like nobody took any of it seriously.
Yeah.
And then you had X-Men. The X-Men was doing really good until the third one. But then you had the X-Men Wolverine Origin. Ugh. Nobody cared. Nobody was putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
And then you had Fantastic Four 2, and again, nobody's giving a shit.
Yeah.
It was really Iron Man that saved. Unless if Iron Man didn't step in and say, I'm gonna show you a good superhero movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, do you want likable, relatable characters? Do you want action that is good?
Yeah.
You want effects that are good?
Yeah, exactly. Iron Man really was the movie that was just like, everyone, sit down, I got this. Like, watch what I'm about to do, and you can see how to make a superhero movie. I do feel like Marvel is casting directors really well. Picking directors really well. It's like, who directed Iron Man? Jon Favreau, who's not an action film director. He makes comedies. So it's like, this movie needs to be funny and fun.
Yep.
Put Jon Favreau on it.
Yep.
Thor, they have Kenneth Branagh, Shakespearean actor and director.
Which,
perfect.
That's another thing I like about the, what I like about the Marvel series is, like, you just said that, Man of Steel reminded you of the Dark Knight series.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have the Marvels, which is like, Iron Man is like a black comedy.
Yeah.
Thor is like a medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
And, Captain America was just like a war.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
A war drama.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really interesting that not only do you have different characters, different settings.
Yeah.
But you also have different tones,
different genres.
You're really watching a different genre.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool too because then it's just there's something going on for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're never going to get tired of it because they're just going to be constantly. I mean, even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which it's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a procedural cop drama set in the Marvel universe. It's like it's something further and different. It's not my cup of tea.
It's true.
But somebody's drinking it. Somebody's drinking that tea.
I get up in there. Yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like Marvel's on a really good track, and I'm really interested to see where it's going because, I mean, this is kind of revolutionary. I mean, how long until the summer release is nothing but comic book movies?
I mean, this coming summer is just comic book.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to continue like that until the end of time, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and Marvel has no shortage of movies to choose from.
They're also just printing money at this point.
It's true.
Every single movie that comes out, I mean, Thor was almost sold out when we saw it. And we saw it on, 2 days after it came out. And it was still just packed.
I did a midnight viewing of it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty packed.
Yeah.
So I mean, people were into it.
Yeah.
People were really into these movies.
Yeah.
I think one thing that might be a problem though.
Yeah.
Is like whenever they hit that wall, whenever they hit the wall of creativity, whenever they have that moment where like one movie just is critically panned and like not even fans liked it, it could really make everything crumble down.
Yeah.
Because the problem with continued continuity is if you pick an actor who wasn't right for the role, you pick a plot that screws up the universe, then you're stuck. Or you retcon it, but then you're kind of undoing your own.
Yeah, that is the problem. Is like when is the momentum gonna slow? I mean, if you think about the cinematic universe as it stands, like what are the weak points? Probably like Iron Man 2, and even Iron Man 2 was a good movie. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Some would say that Thor is probably the weakest of the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like Thor and Captain America are kind of the iffiest ones.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but even then, like I thought First Avenger was awesome. First Avenger is one of my favorite Marvel movies, and I love the Thor stuff too. So it's like even the weak points are good. So it's like what happens when they make a stinker? Yeah. It's gonna happen. You can only roll them bones so many times, you know. So yeah.
maybe they'll whenever they're just completely dry, it's like. Let's do a Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't bother seeing this one, folks.
Let's just do it. But I feel like as long as they keep... Here's the thing. Marvel owns their movies. Marvel has Marvel Studios. Disney owns it, but they are producing their own movies at this point. Marvel Studios. Nobody else is doing that.
That's also another kind of a thing that makes it iffy, because now Disney is directing Marvel.
Yeah.
Disney has control over the destiny of Marvel.
Yeah.
And Disney has a habit of driving every franchise they have into the ground. Yeah. Whatever they have, they run it as long as possible until its legs falls off.
It's true. I also feel, though, that, like, as long as Marvel keeps making Disney just buttloads of money, Disney's just going to be like, you just keep doing what you're doing.
I think they're going to keep cracking the whip harder and harder until we want faster, until it's here's crap.
Yeah, I suppose. That's true. That's true. Yeah, and I mean the fact that they're coming out with more movies and branching out into more franchises and even doing more TV shows is exciting, but it's also kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, it's you're just squeezing that orange as long as you can. Eventually, it's gonna run out.
Yeah, eventually there's not gonna be any juice left. You're just gonna have a just dried up orange.
Yeah, you can't drink that.
You can't do anything.
Yeah, you just throw that away.
It's gross. I'm not gonna eat it.
I wish life gave me lemons because I could just make lemonade.
That's true. That's true.
So that's all I've got. What do you got?
I would wonder what upcoming Marvel movie are you most excited about of the upcoming ones?
The one I'm most excited about seeing, would have to be Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2?
No. It is probably Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because I really like a movie that's patriotic without being pig-headed about it.
Yeah,
where it's like freedom and apple pie, but it's not like also we have to torture. It's like no, that's not okay. It's freedom and apple pie.
That's the thing, is that Captain America he represents the traditional values of America without being like jingoistic about it. It's like you know what, truth, justice, in the American way, and we're also going to like protect the people of the world.
True. I am kind of interested in Ant-Man because, I mean, what do you do with
Ant-Man?
What do you do with that?
Well, again, on the topic of Marvel picking its directors really well, Edgar Wright of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz fame is directing Ant-Man.
Is Ant-Man going to be stuck in like a weird suburbia? Yeah. Where stuff and it turns out they're all like mutants or something?
Yeah.
He's going to shrink down and fight them?
Did you see the short sort of demo of Ant-Man they had at Comic-Con? They had him, it was pretty awesome. They had him running down a hallway, and he shrinks, and he's running down the barrel of this guy's gun as gun pointed, and he runs down the barrel, and then grows big again, and just kicks the guy in the face. It's like, yes, it's awesome. So I'm pretty excited. I feel like as long as they keep Ant-Man sort of lighthearted and fun, it's gonna be awesome.
It's true.
Yep.
So I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
So until next time, I'm Darren. He's Matt with Moving a Blender.